Welcome to episode 88 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh, coming to you on a sweltering Sunday afternoon here in the Twin Cities. 90 plus degrees. Troy, fresh off being outside and fighting the lawn. How's it going, man?
It's going well. Yeah, I fought the lawn today, and then yesterday I was at my son's baseball tournament for 15 hours. It was ridiculous. It was hot. They played on all AstroTurf fields, which adds another 10 to 15 degrees. It was ridiculous. These tournaments, I'll never understand why they think playing like 3 or 4 games in a day is just a great idea, but that's what we got.
You're chock full of vitamin D.
I am like oversaturated, but I did a really good job applying sunblock, so no burns. I'm good there.
Now, the question everyone wants to know is, did you hurt yourself again as the third base coach, or did we avoid injury in this tournament?
Here's the funny thing. Now my other leg, since it had to compensate for like 3 or 4 days because of my right leg, is now sore. It's sore. So I got to wait for all that to even out, and then I'll be good to go. 100%.
Real quickly, before we get going, just a reminder that the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a Patreon podcast. That means that we rely on support from listeners like yourself to help us cover our expenses, produce hopefully more and better hockey card content. Got some cool stuff coming very soon, and fun initiatives to grow the hobby even in a small way. Right now, there's still time. There's 9 spots left still, I believe, in our out of 99 support level tier. That would mean you'll be one of the first 99 supporters of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. It's $5 a month. It's done through Patreon. Super easy to do. You can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com. At the top, there's a Become a Patron link, or you could just go directly to the Patreon website, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gongshow. There's a link in the show description on the podcast app that you're listening to us on right now. And finally, in our TikTok and Instagram profiles, there is a link there. All right, Troy, you ready for the game plan?
On today's show, we begin with the NHL's most famous player to wear number 88. We then take a look at the Stanley Cup Finals, and we've had a game, Josh. We've had game 1 is in the books.
Game 1 done.
Game 1 done. Then it's off to another round of Rookie Deep Dive, Extended Series Edition. We then go to Hobby News, followed by a look at the hockey card market and a little update there. We end the show with new product releases. All right, Josh, we are on episode 88, Hockey's greatest NHL player to wear number 88. Per the Hockey Writers, greatest player to wear each number article is Patrick Kane.
Is this the most controversial one that we're going to have, do you think?
I was thinking about that. I put like a little note here. I said there are some really good names at number 88, and I think our Philadelphia Flyer friends are going to be mad at us because obviously there's a big number 88 that played at Philly, but here's the list of other number 88s. Besides Patrick Kane, you have Eric Lindros, Andrei Vasilevsky, and Brent Burns, which I think Burns is in a tier below those other 3. But, well, maybe not. Burns keeps surprising me. So
he's good. And he's just been like really, really good for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm a Lindros fan. I like his cards, but how many cups did Lindros win again?
Fingers are pretty bare, I think. So that's what we got. We're going with Patty Kane with the article. Maybe next time around we'll do a little Eric Lindros love. But right now we're at Patrick Kane, who is a right winger from Buffalo, New York, here in the good old USA. It's been a while, I think, since we have a USA guy on this list. Kane was the first overall pick in the 2007 NHL entry draft by the Chicago Blackhawks. Kane has played in 1,180 regular season games over a 16-season NHL career. Kane started his career with 15 seasons with the Chicago Blackhawks. However, during the 22-23 season, Kane was traded after 54 games with Chicago to the New York Rangers on February 28th, 2023. All right, awards and accomplishments. It's kind of funny how some of his stats were right in line with Crosby, like regular season games, cups. They got the same amount of cups. Anyways, Patty Kane's got 3-time Cup winner, 2010, 2013, and 2015. He was on the 2007-08 All-Rookie team. He was the 2008 Calder Trophy winner. He's a one-time Hart Trophy winner, one-time Art Ross Trophy winner, one-time Ted Lindsay Award winner, and one-time Conn Smythe Award winner. 9-time All-Star Game selection for Patty Kane. A 3-time NHL First All-Star Team selection. He's a one-time NHL Second All-Star Team selection. he was named to the NHL's greatest 100 players ever list. He was number 41 on the Athletics top 100 players of the NHL post-expansion era. Long list of awards and accomplishments for Mr. Kane. During his career, during the regular season, he's had 451 goals, 785 assists for 1,237 career points. He has made the playoffs in 11 of his 16 NHL seasons, compiling 53 goals, 85 assists for 138 points in 143 playoff games played. Best season of his career from a point standpoint was his 2018-19 season, where Kane had 44 goals and 66 assists for 110 points in 81 games played. Kane has scored 70-plus points in 10 of his 16 NHL seasons, scoring 100 points in 2 of those seasons. He has also scored 30-plus goals in 5 of his 16 NHL seasons. However, this was kind of a surprise to me. Kane has never reached the 50-plus goals mark in a season. Closest he got was 2015-16 when he scored 46 goals. Now, I think part of that is he was a little injury-prone, so there's been seasons where he hasn't completed a whole season. But I, for some reason, thought that he's had 1 or 2 seasons of 50-plus goals, but I was wrong in that thinking. Kane, obviously, another all-time great NHL player. Personally, the real memory I have of Patrick Kane and watching him was the 2010 Stanley Cup Game 6 overtime goal where he scored against Philly to clinch the cup. And I'll always remember it because the great thing is about this goal is Kane, I think, is the only one in the world who knew the puck went in. He comes down the side, shoots the puck. You kind of see it go with, you think it goes in, but then no one, everyone kind of stops. The ref kind of looks, and it looks like he was going to make a motion, but then he stops. Kane, it just knows it's in. He kind of went behind the net and saw it. It's just bust his tail down the other end of the ice. Players are kind of looking at him, but then Chicago kind of realizes what happened, and they all jump off the bench and go after him and celebrate. But it was one of those just very odd moments, but I'll always remember it because at that one point in time, Kane was the only one who knew he had just won the Stanley Cup, and everyone else was kind of just staring at what was going on. Kane was also known for his exceptional hockey IQ and seemed to have a sixth sense of knowing where his teammates were on the ice. He was a fantastic passer, and if you ever watch highlight clips of him on YouTube or his NHL.com video profile, stuff like that, you will see a lot of those highlights are him drawing in 2 to 3 defenders with the puck and then just making a crazy pass over to one of his teammates for a goal. So I can see why he's probably got a little more assist and maybe didn't have a 50-goal season because he was really good at finding his teammates for open shots or open goals.
You know what I always think of? That viral stick handling video.
With all the pucks.
That everyone in the world.
He's just
Yeah, that everyone in the world saw.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. He was super skilled. Super skilled. Kane, he was also a really prolific sniper when he needed to shoot or decided to shoot, along with, to see the videos of all his goal or all his assists. There's also some pretty amazing goals that he's scored in his time where he just finds the absolute tiniest opening and puts it in. So great career so far. He's still going. We'll see what happens with all the stuff. On June 1st of this year, it was announced that Kane had what me and Josh have dubbed sounds like the worst thing ever. The good old hip resurfacing procedure that will sideline him for the next 4 to 6 months.
He had his hip zambonied?
He had his hip zambonied. This procedure, every time I say it or think about it, just gives me those heebie-jeebies. It sounds absolutely
awful. It makes my
awful.
skin crawl, dude. It's horrible.
Well, here's this. I went a step further. I had to figure out what this thing is. Hip resurfacing is an alternative to hip replacement. According to the American Academy of, I'm going to get this wrong, orthopedic surgeons, the femoral head is not removed, but is instead trimmed and capped with a smooth metal covering in hip resurfacing. I don't mean to gross anyone out, but, surgery, cut open, and then I just think of having a belt sander, and they're just sitting there going to town on this thing, resurfacing it. They're going, okay, that looks good. Put our little metal cover over, and off you go. But 4 to 6 month recovery is not fun.
Well, I just thought they would have a little hip, robotic hip Zamboni.
Well, maybe. Yeah, it just goes on and does little circles, drives around. All right, it should be noted that Kane's agent, Pat Brisson, I think is how you say it, or Bryson, said that Kane wants to play for a long time. So Kane is not done, according to reports. Is he, I think, a free agent? Is he unrestricted?
He's a UFA. Yeah. And I think it's also, is it safe to say that the aftermath of his trade in February to the Rangers was a little anticlimactic?
Yeah. Agree.
Maybe it wasn't the storybook scenario that it didn't seem like he played like okay, but not great.
Fun, interesting facts. So that was Kane's career, kind of low profile, very good player, one of the best. But we have lots of fun, interesting facts with Patrick Kane. Well, this one, I'm getting bored of these when it's where's number 88 as his birth year is 1988. Okay, but since the segment's about numbers, I got to throw it in there. He is the first U.S.-born player to win the Art Ross Trophy.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, well, there you go. In the 2015-16 season, Kane had a run of at least 1 point in 26 consecutive games, which at the time was the longest streak since Matt Sundin of our favorite Quebec Nordiques had a run of 30 consecutive games of at least 1 point during the 92-93 NHL season. Kane was the cover athlete for NHL 10. I always like that when they're in there for the NHL cover athlete.
Is there a curse with that, like in football, like the Madden curse? You know?
I don't think it's as pronounced as the Madden curse, but I'm sure there is. I'm sure you could find a couple guys that were on that and then blew out a knee or did something. But it's definitely not as bad as I think the Madden curse. All right, the last one. I love this one. Patrick Kane was inadvertently featured in the background of Sylvain Turgeon's 1994-95 hockey card while attending a Sabres game as a child with his father. The specific card is a 1994-95 Pinnacle number 288 Sylvain Turgeon. If you look at the picture on the front of the card, top right, there's a little kid in a Buffalo Sabres jersey with I think it has a C on the front. That's little Patty Kane hanging out at the game. So it's like his pre-rookie card. But if you're a Patrick Kane collector, I think you got to have this card. You got to have this card just for how unique it is.
It's kind of a sweet card, too, because Turgeon is like falling over in half sideways. Yeah. And then you also got Patty Kane sitting on his dad's lap, who has got kind of an Austin Matthews mustache going on there too, right?
He does, and you can tell this is like he's got the nice sweater on and everything. Patrick Kane's rookie card, 2007 Upper Deck Young Guns number 210. PSA 10 has a pop of 360 with a gem rate of 35%. So pretty low on both of those. Last sale was $1,007 US on April 18th of 2023 via eBay, and it was also verified in Terapeak. However, this card on September 16th of 2021, this card sold for about $2,800 US via eBay.ca and verified in Terapeak. So we've had a little correction, a little correction down.
Slight correction. Down maybe a few percentage points.
A few percentage points.
By a few, I mean a lot.
The BGS 9.5 copy of this card is a pop of 475 with a gem rate of 38%. Last sale. This is another thing. Look how drastic this difference is. Last sale, like the BGS 9, $316 US on May 28th of this year via eBay and verified in Terapeak. Thought that was pretty interesting. That's what we got, though. Patty Kane. Great U.S. player. See where he ends up. Unrestricted free agent, I think, or he can sign anywhere now once free agency opens.
I know you've said this like 300 times already in the history of our show, but you don't pick these guys. You're just going off of who the Hockey Writers pick. So
the Hockey Writers website, I just use who they have, and then the next round, if whatever we do for round 2, if we decide to keep doing this, then it's more I'm going to pick who is on the list.
My vote's for the greatest equipment managers. We'll have a meeting about that. All right, Troy.
You're on a fun story. My college roommate was the Minnesota Vikings and still works for the Minnesota Vikings equipment manager.
Wow. That makes you Minnesota famous.
Yep. We used to, in college, at night, we'd go down to Winter Park, kick field goals, run around, and just have fun.
That place is kind of a dump, wasn't it?
it was it was an absolute dump. Just dumpy, horrible building. Probably at the time it was built, it was great. And then they built this whole new complex and it put this Winter Park thing to shame. But yeah, it was kind of a dump.
Well, speaking of dumps, I guess, I don't know how you transition to the Stanley Cup Finals. I guess maybe a Florida fan would kind of feel like maybe their team took a dump last night. But it was a 5-2 Game 1 finish with the Las Vegas Golden Knights coming out ahead of the Florida Panthers. I know you were still coaching baseball. I did watch the whole game. It was, I think, a lot closer than the score had indicated. Eric Stahl opened the scoring with a shorthanded goal for Florida about halfway through the first period. Then Jonathan Marchessault evened it up with about 3 minutes left in period 1, scoring his 10th goal of the playoffs. So we have 1-1 end of the first period. Then in the second, with about 9 minutes left, Shea Theodore, who had a really good game overall, scored his first goal of these playoffs, giving the Golden Knights a 2-1 advantage. Now, he would, on that goal, Anthony Duclair was challenging him on the blue line, but Duclair just blocked a shot, so he's a little hobbled, and Theodore basically twisted him up in all sorts of knots, and Bobrovsky was double screened. It was a very, very good goal from the Golden Knights. But then, Troy, with 10 seconds left, Duclair gets his revenge, took an offensive faceoff from Barkov and ripped a shot that was tipped and then went through by, I think, a Vegas defender, and then ended up going through Adin Hill's 5-hole. So we're 2-2, headed into the third, and the third was pretty much owned by Las Vegas. About 7 minutes in, Zach Whitecloud scored again from the blue line. This was a shot that I thought Bobrovsky probably could have had. He seemed pretty solid for the night, but maybe this is the one goal. And you could see it in his face. Like when a goal lets a goal in and they just look up to the sky, like, darn it. I think it was about 7 minutes after that where Mark Stone made an unbelievable play. So, and I think I've read articles about this or heard it on a podcast, but have you heard where that flipping the puck out of the zone is becoming very, very popular now?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's a strategy. It's like a bona fide strategy now.
And I think the Panthers are what a lot of people point to, that basically isn't the idea you flip the puck into the neutral zone and then it's kind of a dogfight and if you're a scrappy, good forechecking team, that you could have a good chance of coming away with it or making a play happen, because the pucks will often bounce in ways that are unpredictable. Right?
Yeah, it's an easy way to get the puck out, because if you go side to side on the ice, there's always a chance there's someone there. If you go up, obviously there's no one over. Maybe if I get my arms up over 8 feet, that can block it. So you go up, and then if you can get numbers in the neutral zone, now it's a random bounce one way or the other. And if it goes to the other team, well, now you have numbers against them. So yeah, It's a definitely bona fide strategy that's picking up a lot recently.
Anyways, someone from Florida had tried to do it from the defensive zone, and a play that looked like maybe it could have been high sticking, but they reviewed it and it wasn't. Mark Stone bats the puck out of the air right down, and it's him and Bobrovsky at that point, and he snaps it top shelf, and really, really nice goal. The hand-eye coordination of these NHL players is out of this world. Crazy that they could do stuff like that. Because it's not like Stone was leaning over. Like, he had a lunge. That made it 4-2. There's about 7 minutes left in the game. And then, with about 4 minutes left, just about the time where you're going to see probably Florida pull Bobrovsky, there ends up being a big time scrum. And within that, a lot of guys were going at, I think, Nicholas Hague quite a bit. And basically, Matthew Tkachuk gives him a nice jab right to the face, where the ref can totally see it, and ends up getting a double minor plus a 10-minute misconduct and is out of the game. So at that point, pretty much over. There was, though, a brief second where Sam Reinhart does have a breakaway, and Adin Hill, who I think was the player of the night last night, came up with some huge saves. He had did you see his ridiculous save?
I did see that.
Where he's probably, I would guess, now you're the goalie coach, but I guess that he had made a mistake and got himself way out of position before lunging back and making that save with his stick. But nonetheless, it was amazing.
Yeah, I'll say it probably wasn't a mistake because it looked like it was like a bang, bang, bang. It was like almost 2 or 3 passes. But yeah, he got obviously he got to where he wanted to be, but then when they pass it back, now all heck breaks loose. And it's pretty crazy. Like, I was reading articles on Hill, and it talks about this. One thing, this save mimicked, who is it? Braden Holtby almost made like the same exact save, I think, in the Stanley Cup game. There was video comparison. It was almost the same save, but Aiden Hill's talking about all the flexibility he does that he's gained by doing yoga that he started in COVID. So now his practice plan, he says, every day is on ice morning skate, lunch, yoga, or yoga lunch for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, which kind of helps him with the nerves. But then they showed he does a drill, and we do it at the high school level too. It's called Last Puck. It's basically after practice is either over or right at the end. Get 5 skaters around our goalie. There's 1 puck, and it's game on to see how long the goalie can keep that puck out of the net. And it's not like these guys are going 110%. They're banging the puck, moving around, but they're giving the goalie a little bit of a chance to make a move, and it works on your desperation saves and your compete and all that stuff. But it was really interesting to see that because this play played right into what that article was kind of talking about.
He's a huge dude.
Yeah,
6'6". And when they were interviewing him after the game, and he was just in his like long sleeve t-shirt, he looks like a NFL tight end. I mean, he's ripped and big and very muscular too, which I thought was pretty interesting. Just like a big, strong guy. So he makes the save on the Sam Reinhart breakaway too. A nice save there, and just had a bunch of great saves during the game. Riley Smith added an empty netter, and that was all she wrote. So that's how you got to 5-2. The other thing, and I don't know if you saw this in the highlights you ended up watching, but Florida hit like 4 pipes throughout the game.
I didn't see that. I watched very few highlights.
But like I said about Bobrovsky, did let him 4 goals. Seemed mostly solid. He thought he played a good game. I saw an article. He's like, I played a really solid game.
There you go. That's all you need. Faith in yourself.
Yeah. Faith in yourself. I just want this to be a close series at the end. I'm not really super invested into who wins it. I'm starting to really see, though, just how solid the Golden Knights are. They're not very sexy. They don't have like a Connor McDavid type player, superstars that just wow you constantly with their skill, but they're pretty big and tough to beat and top to bottom, very, very solid. They kept mentioning that their 4th line was best line of the team last night on the broadcast. So, and then kind of bringing in the hobby impact a little bit. Man, the Matthew Tkachuk market has just been booming. I want to see it keep going. That's part of the reason why I want Florida to do well. It might grind it to a halt if they lose game 2 as well. But just in the past week, Troy, 3 of the top 4 public Tkachuk sales ever have occurred. And there's just been, I also found, and I just got to bring this up because I think it's crazy. As I was looking at some of prices, I've noticed this huge lot that on eBay that sold for almost $10,000 US. And I'm like, whoa, that's a lot. But then I looked at it and I feel like somebody might have got a steal, especially if the Florida wins or they keep playing well. So there was 169 cards, right, in this lot. And I think the final price was $9,895 US, so $9,900 about, which comes out to $58 per card. I'm not going to go through all 169 cards, but here's just like some that were in this lot. And again, at a cost basis of an average of $58 a card. There was a Young Guns Exclusives BGS 9, Young Guns Canvas BGS 10 Pristine, Young Guns Clear Cut BGS 10 Pristine, Young Guns Silver Foil PSA 10, Upper Deck Buyback Young Gun BGS 99, Upper Deck Buyback Young Gun Canvas Auto out of 25 BGS 9.510, a Future Watch Auto BGS 9.510, the Cup Gold Spectrum Rookie Auto, Cup RPA at a 249, Exquisite RPA, Ultimate RPA, and basically the entire OPG Platinum Marquee Rookie Rainbow, right? And you let all these cards where there was very few that you thought, geez, this is kind of a dud. So it's a lot of money to spend on Matthew Tkachuk cards, don't get me wrong. But if somebody takes their time and maybe it's a collector that wants to keep them, but if it's an investor type, I think they'll do really well. And on the flip side, the seller had put obviously an incredible amount of time building this collection and did kind of what we talked about. It's like if you were ever to sell your Matthew Tkachuk collection, so I think when was this? Like right around like June 3rd or something like that. And it was a brilliant move.
Yep. Maybe
they should have got more, but they definitely sold at the height of the market. So if you want, it is on eBay. It's on Terapeak. If you want to go look at, there's screenshots of all the cards. So anyone that's interested can go look at that. Then I keep trying to think, man, just trying to get some hobby excitement into the Stanley Cup Finals. And we have Tkachuk. We have kind of Bobrovsky, kind of, but not really. And who on Vegas can be a real breakout star? So there's really, I think, 3 candidates of plausible players that, and there's no slam dunk here, but Adin Hill, and keep looking multiple times a day, Troy. There's nothing going on with his market and sales and values that's too crazy to this point. Just to give you an example, biggest sale in the past week is that he was a 2017 rookie. His SP Authentic Future Watch Auto inscribed, so that's one of the first 50, right? So for 147 US on June 3rd, that's not a lot for an inscribed Future Watch Auto. Then it's like, okay, beyond Adin Hill, then maybe Jonathan Marchessault, who I think you could argue has been Vegas's best player, at least in the last couple rounds. He does have the 10 playoff goals to this point. Again, check all the sales reporting platforms, and the answer so far is a definitive no. Finally, the most logical candidate would be Jack Eichel, who does continue to play well, with a big exception. He's just not scoring goals. And Hobby likes players, the Hobby likes players that score goals. Give you an indication, Troy, he's played now 18 games in the playoffs, 6 goals, 14 assists for 20 points. I don't think he scored a goal in the last 2 series now. Right? Wasn't that he didn't score a goal in the Western Conference Finals?
Like that. Yeah.
And his young 2015 Young Gun PSA 10 pop 1011 has a 49% gem rate, less over $170 US. It is up 8% in the past 2 weeks and 13% in the past 2 months. But I think that's going to be maybe the Hobby bummer. Sorry if any Vegas fans, not trying to be negative, but if they make quick work of the Panthers, I think the Hobby will take an L on them because there's just not anyone people are chasing right now.
Well, I'm going to single-handedly try to bring back the Marchessault market when I list my crystallized autograph that will, out of trilogy, that will get $20 or $10.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Well, that's our Stanley Cup Final update. Game 2 is tonight, Monday. So I just want Florida to win. Like I said, ultimately, I don't care who wins the cup. I just want it to be a really close series and kind of go down the wire. We're going to switch now back to Ricky Deep Dive. This is round 2 of our extended series, Ricky Deep Dive edition. And it's our 20th Deep Dive overall. So for this one, once again, just like last time, we picked all rookies from the 2022-23 extended series checklist. This product releases June 7th, so Wednesday. So we thought, it would be good to highlight rookies that are coming out in the next couple of days. Just as a refresher, of the 19 we've covered so far, it's Matty Beniers, Matt Boldley, Shane Wright, Slavkovsky, Owen Powers, Shane Pinto, Kalen Addison, JJP, John Jason Peterka, who, by the way, did you see was the MVP of the World Championships?
I did see that. Yeah,
our guy, JJP.
I laughed because I was like, oh, JJP. Like you said, I think last time, that's the only reason you read all the names off so you can scream.
It is.
JJP.
Logan Thompson, Ken Johnson, Jack Quinn, Arbor Jacki, Andrea Kuzmenko, Pyotr Kochekov, Cole Perfetti, Wyatt Johnston, Matthew Nyes, Luke Hughes, and Kirill Marchenko was last week. This week's candidates were, I'll admit, it was a little rough, Troy. Pontus Holmberg, Jonathan Bergeron, Juuso Parssinen, and Aatu Raty. I have to look up real quick.
Well, I think Parsival. I just watched Ready Player One again, and that's I think it's one of the avatars. His name, the main guy, is Parsival or something. And then that.
Oh, gotcha.
That Jonathan Bergeron.
Bergeron.
Is it?
They call him Johnny Burgers in Detroit.
That name looks nothing like Bergeron.
No, Bergeron, I think.
Okay.
Bergeron.
I thought you said Bergeron, but yeah, it's
no, it's not like Patrice Bergeron.
But it's like
he came in second place. He had 33. He had 30%. Then in third place was Juuso Parssinen, 22%. Pontus Holmberg, who is, I didn't even know who he was, but he was on the checklist, so that's pretty bad because they kind of pick usually the two bigger or biggest names. He had 12%, and the winner was Aatu Raty. Aatu Raty? I don't know. We're just going to go with Aatu Raty. He is a 20-year-old from, oh God. You usually have to pronounce these crazy names. He's from Finland. The town he's from is Oulunsalo.
Yeah, I think it's Olusano.
Okay, we'll go with that. He's a pretty big center, Troy, 6'2", 185 pounds, currently playing for the Abbotsford Canucks in the AHL. Ratty was 52nd overall pick in the 2021 NHL entry draft by your New York Islanders, Troy. Here's what some NHL draft people, writers had to say about Ratty heading up to the 2021 draft. So Tony Ferrari from Dobber Prospects. He's good friends with John Lamborghini.
I was like, did you just make that name up here?
No, I didn't. When at his best, Ratty has a chance to be the best center from this draft class with his dual threat ability as a shooter and passer, along with a two-way game that should translate to the NHL level. The issue is that he has often not been at his best over the last year, which leaves him as a projectable transitional third-line center.
What really, listen, I don't know I'm not going to go look up the whole 2021 draft class, but what really I've noticed in this quote, how can you tell me that he could be the best center from the draft class, but he was the 52nd overall pick? Something seems really, that doesn't match.
Let's get into that. Well, let's put a pin in that and hold that for a second.
All right, maybe I'm the idiot, but that doesn't make sense to me. But okay,
let's put a pin in it. So Scott Wheeler from The Athletic, we know Scott.
Yep.
We don't know him personally.
We like to think we do. We read enough of his stuff.
When he's engaged and active, he can be an effective forechecker who wins back possession, then makes plays off the wall to the interior. Prior to the NHL, Ratty played 4 seasons in the Finnish Elite League Liga, where he put up 18 goals, 33 assists for 51 points in 94 games played. It's not quite the goal-scoring pedigree we want to see from the hobby perspective, Troy. That's 0.19 goals per game in the Liga league. Ratty started his North American career this past season with the Bridgeport Islanders as a part of the Isles organization, putting up 7 goals, 8 assists for 15 points in 27 games played. He was then traded to Vancouver as part of the package that brought Bo Horvat to Long Island. Here's what an NHL prospect analyst, a guy named Chris Peters from Flow Hockey, had to say after the trade when trying to figure out who got who and who won the trade sort of deal. I'd classify Ratty as a B prospect, which is to say he's unlikely to be a top-line player and less likely to be star caliber, but he has a chance to be an impact player at the NHL level. The most optimistic projection is he's a top 6 center who can drive play. The more likely scenario is that he's a middle 6 center who can provide good secondary scoring and adequate defensive play. He's an upgrade within the Canucks system that does not have a lot of depth at this point. Pretty middling.
Yep.
Right.
That's my favorite word, middling. Just middling. You're right in the middle of the pack. You're right in the bell curve. You're at the top. Right in the middle.
After coming to Vancouver, he played 25 games with the Abbotsford Canucks, where he had 2 goals and 10 assists for 12 points in 25 games played. He did play for 3 games with the Canucks at the NHL level. This past year, got 1 assist in those 3 games. So I started to look up a bunch of articles and YouTube videos, and this is where we put the pin in that 52nd pick. Maybe how could he have the talent to be the best center? Well, I think there's 2 reasons there. When you look back, his draft eligible year, he took a step backwards. So there's a lot of hype leading up to that, and then he didn't have the best year. Then it seems like that the key word or phrase that you keep running into with this guy, Troy, is lack of consistency. And I thought it was really emblematic of a quote from, there's a website called Canucks Army that follows the Canucks, and they had talked about his transition to the Canucks organization and his play after the trade. And here's what they said. I think this sums it up really good. Initially, there were plenty of struggles for the 20-year-old center, And it took him a while to get comfortable in the city of Abbotsford. Moving across the continent mid-season after making the jump to North America pro hockey is a tough ask. And for context, imagine your brain at 20. We know it was tough on Ratty. In fact, we believe that the call up to the NHL in February had something to do with getting Ratty to feel a bit more comfortable with the move. It's a simple fact the NHL has more support than the AHL. And that 1 week in the NHL organization likely helped him settle down after a hectic trade deadline deal. Looking into it, I don't know. It doesn't give me a lot of confidence to go ahead and go deep and spend a lot of money on his rookie cards. And we haven't watched him play every game. Maybe you're a Canucks fan or Islanders fan, and you might have a different opinion on that. But where I keep coming back to is that lack of goal scoring pedigree. Remember, we want players that have produced 0.5 goals per game on multiple levels, going back to when they were pretty young through whether it's college or the CHL or European leagues, because 0.5 goals per game projects to 40-goal NHL score. And those are the guys that drive the hobby value. And I just don't see it with this guy. And then you got to give the constant, though, qualifier that he's 20 and he's transitioning coming from Finland to North America, and there's always a possibility that he could have a breakthrough moment and everything could click for him. But I think today, when you're looking at what current rookies should I be focusing my collecting on, he's probably one that I would not have a ton of interest in. Going through Marchenko and now Aatu Raty, I hope I'm saying the name right. We're going to get some email because when you have like a 10-minute segment and you say his name 45 times, it's probably horrible if you're butchering it. But that's what we do on this show. It's our thing. It's what we're known for. It makes me worried about extended series. I really hope there's a lot of cool Easter eggs or rookie tribute cards for the rest of the 2022 class, because if these two are some of the highlights, oh boy. Yeah. It'll be not Upper Deck's fault, of course. Yep. All they can do is deal with the lineup they get. Yep. And this whole 2022 class I've found very underwhelming to this point. Okay, we're going to switch over to hobby news. So Toronto has a new GM. Brad Trevling. Is it Trevling? Can't remember. He's the guy from Calgary. Yeah. So you didn't get the job, huh? Nope, I didn't. I swore that you interviewed at least? I wasn't interviewed. As long as I'm a new Toronto fan, I still can't wait for all the dirt to come out. Boy, it's bad blood between Dubas and the organization. Yeah. There is stuff like just now how I don't know if you're going to get into this, but now the Penguins and Toronto are new rivals. Like they hate each other now because Dubas got hired by the Penguins. That's awesome. I know. It's just awesome that a GM or a president, is he the president now with Pittsburgh? Yeah, Dubas is. Yeah, he got like a promotion, but yeah, that's great. I love it. So Trevling, whoever he is, his top priority, numero uno priority, is to re-sign Auston Matthews. Probably a good place to start. Probably a good one. Says he plans to make a trip down to Arizona. Now, if it doesn't work, if those talks don't go well, do you think you'd consider trading him and maybe dealing him for Jonathan Huberdeau? Oh, jeez. Done that once before. No. Huberdeau. It's too soon for that? Yeah, too soon. That's like one of those oops. How do you trade Matthew Tkachuk for Jonathan Huberdeau and then get the job as the Maple Leafs GM? Well, I remember when that trade was made, a lot of people were like, oh, Calgary made a really good steal. Got some good players. Got rid of Tkachuk. Mackenzie Weegar steals the trade. It didn't work out like it. It could still work out. Who knows? I mean, it's only a year, but. And I know that Tkachuk told him he's not coming back. He was like, I'm out. Important to know there. Well, you have a couple notes here on Bettman did a State of the NHL press conference. The fun Gary Bettman, some juicy stuff out of there. Yeah, fun stuff. Let's look at it. So it was on Saturday. Our favorite commissioner gave a State of the Union for the NHL. I will never wrap my head around this. From all the stuff that's happened, Bettman's still dying on the sword that they got to keep the Coyotes in Arizona. Said the Coyotes are going to look for an option now in the greater Phoenix area since the whole Tempe thing didn't work. So now they're expanding it, trying to find somewhere else to play in Arizona. And I can't remember who asked him, why are you so adamant
about keeping a team in Arizona and the Phoenix area. And he's like, it's a terrific market, terrific market for hockey. Is it? I mean, is it a really terrific market for hockey? I could see someone like ASU thriving, being their small arena, their college. I don't know if an NHL team. Obviously, it's done some.
It's got to be the snowbird thing, right?
Well, yeah, it's a snowbird, and it's done some good things. Listen, who knows if Austin Matthews is in the NHL if they don't go to Phoenix at some point and have a team.
Logan
there.
Cooley, our guy for the Gophers.
I don't know if Phoenix. It seems like you're on. They're going to get the 3 strikes and you're out kind of deal. Obviously, the NHLPA wants an answer on the Coyotes soon because that affects their membership. And what I really got out of the whole conference is it sounds like Salt Lake City is actually becoming a real candidate. I know we kind of said, oh, the owner's like, I think he owns the Jazz maybe. And he was like, oh, yeah, we want to get an NHL team. And it's really sounding like if the Coyotes have to relocate, they might be the front runners. Obviously, there'd be other people that want to bring them in, but.
Where I do agree with you, though, is just my personal history in following sports, my life to this point. Normally, the leagues use moving as a threat.
Yep.
And we've had that happen in Minnesota with the Twins and the Vikings and the Wolves, even. Yep. It's like, build us a stadium or we're out of here.
Well, hey,
it's
Dallas.
The total opposite in the NHL. It's like, can you build us a stadium? No. Okay, well, we're still going to try to stay.
Yeah. It's interesting, but it's ongoing. We'll see what happens. Another thing they brought up, the Senators' sale. There wasn't much. Bettman said the process is still going on. There's 4 groups in. Sounds like it's kind of wrapping up. They might have a winner, I guess, announced in the next month or two. But that
Snoop?
I don't know if it's Snoop a Loop or whatever, but we'll see. It'll be interesting to see who wins that. There is also the little, I don't know, we call it the black smudge. NHL is wrapping up its investigation in the 2018 Canadian World Junior Cup team. And I bring that up because there are some players in the NHL that were on that team. And if some bad stuff comes out, you never know what's going to happen to those players. The report is done, and it looks like it's being prepared to be released in the next couple weeks to a month. So be on the lookout for that fun stuff. There's also the World Cup of Hockey. It was last held in 2016 in Toronto. They are trying to come to an agreement, the NHL and the NHLPA, to have it around February of 2025. Who knows if that will happen? This seems like a pie in the sky kind of thing. There was also an announcement that the Stanley Cup will not go to Russia. So all you Russian players that win the Stanley Cup this year, guess what? Cup's not coming over there, so you got to find somewhere else to have your day with the cup. And then finally, and another crappy story, Joel Quenneville and Stan Bauman have requested meetings with Bettman to be reinstated into the NHL. And if you forget who those two are, Quenneville is a coach. I think he's second in victories in all time in the NHL. And Bowman was the GM of the Blackhawks, but they were caught in the fallout of the Kyle Beach allegation of sexual assault against the former Blackhawks video coach Brad Aldrich. And they want back in, and I say poo-poo to you guys. If you read about what they covered up, it's terrible. That's what I'm not going to get I don't want to get a personal attack on them, but that was just brought up too.
I want to give a quick update on the 2005 Alex Ovechkin rookie patch out of 999 PSA 10 that's currently live on the Golden 100. It's still sitting at $186,400 US with the buyer's premium. There's 9 days left or so still. The question that is very hobby relevant here is, could this be one of the very few hockey cards to ever eclipse to the $200,000 sales mark? And so we'll keep following that. Next, we're going to look at GemRate released their May grading recap. Overall grading activity declined May versus April by 14%, but was up 2% year over year. So month over month, down 14, but compared to last May, up 2%. Good news, bad news, I guess. Looking at sports cards graded, PSA in May graded 554,000 sports cards, down 17% from April. SGC, 80,000 sports cards, down 5%. And Beckett, 32,000, up 9%. Beckett growing. Are they showing a little life? It's still amazing. They're almost 3 times less than SGC.
Nope.
Looking at hockey cards specifically, PSA graded 29,800, down 25% from April. SGC 2,500, down 1%. Beckett 2,200, down 20%. There were no hockey players or cards in the top 10 cards graded last month from any of the three major grading companies, which I think is only notable, and again, to me, reinforces how meh this 2022 class has been, because in early April, we had the release of Series 2. So had there been, like last year with Mo Sider and Lucas Raymond and Quentin Byfield and Mason McTavish, some of these big Series 2 names, you might have expected to see a couple of these guys at least in the PSA top cards graded. But to this point, I think the class, again, is underwhelmed a little bit. On Saturday night, Troy, the annual CHL awards were announced. And, well, Connor Bedard cleaned house. He won 3 of the major awards, first high player in CHL history to do that. He won the David Brand Player of the Year award, where he led all CHL skaters with 143 points during the regular season, including a CHL leading 71 goals. Ultimately, Bedard is the first Western Hockey League player in 27 years to top 140 points during the regular season. Bedard also won the top scorer award and the top draft prospect of the year award. The awards were not without controversy, though, Troy. A number of people, I think, already calling for an investigation, because while Bedard won the 3 big ones, he did not win Defenseman of the Year nor the Goalie of the Year awards, which there was a prevailing thought that since he makes them all look so stupid, he should just win their awards too. Instead, the Goaltender of the Year award went to Nathan Darvo of the Victoriaville Tigers. The 20-year-old was the second busiest goaltender in the CHL this season, facing a league-high 1,625 shots. Darvo stopped 1,509 of them to lead all CHL goalies with a .929 save percentage. That's a minimum of 30 games played. His 2.34 goals against average ranked second amongst Quebec Major Junior Hockey League goalies this season. And the Defenseman of the Year award went to Olen Zellweger of the Kamloops Blazers. The Anaheim Ducks prospect led all CHL defensemen with 32 goals in 59 games this season. That's a lot for a defenseman. Pretty impressive. Meanwhile, his 80 points and 1.45 points per game average during the 2022-23 campaign ranked second amongst defensemen in the CHL, trailing only Tristan Luneau of the Gatineau Olympiques in both those categories. So CHL awards, Connor Bedard, not the goalie of the year. Very controversial.
Very controversial.
Okay, let's switch to hockey market update. Been thinking about doing this for a while, and admittedly, it's kind of tough because I think, to skip ahead maybe a little bit, that the hockey market is in a little bit of a weird space. It's not real easy to wrap your head around. There's a lot of stuff that's down, of course, and if you looked at just the indexes or numbers at face value, you might think that maybe it's in a little bit more worse shape than it is. Whoa. Whoa, I guess it might not be. Here it is. The struggle bus, Troy, has pulled up, and it's here to pick up the hockey card market.
Oh.
Wow. I guess it has been struggling a little bit.
Struggle bus feels like it's getting a little aggressive. Seems like it's getting aggressive with it showing up unannounced now. I think this is the second time. But we trust the struggle bus. We love it.
A lot of stuff is down right now in our world. A lot of markets, a lot of investment type things, collectibles, definitely. The economy is a little wonky. And I guess the struggle bus isn't big enough to pick up Earth. And it's just going to have to stick with the hockey card market to this point. So the hockey card market, I guess, is on the struggle bus, and we're going to go with that. In determining that, though, I do want to make a point that there's, of course, lots of ways to examine the market, but there's no perfect way. As the number of inputs that we look at to determine the health of the hockey card market way outweigh our ability to measure them and measure them accurately. For instance, you can't measure the impact of private sales that are not trackable, card shows, what card shop activity has been like. We keep hearing from card shop owners that, well, maybe prices are down, but the number of transactions has never been higher.
Yep.
And the number of foot traffic in their stores has never been higher. We keep hearing that very happy dealers at card shows, but you look at some of the indexes and it kind of looks ugly. And speaking of those tools that we use and where those indexes occur, it's a little hard to accurately measure the health of the hockey market with those too. And there's a lot of reasons why. And so I think you have to look at them more. We talk about this quite a bit as directional than absolute. The two major ones that we use are Card Ladder and Market Movers. And I just want to give an example of kind of why I feel this way and why that you have to some degree, what they're reporting is very accurate and reflective and shouldn't be disregarded. But when you dig into them and you dig into their construct, and particularly the cards that they use to make up their respective indexes, very quickly, you kind of have the, oh, really? What? This card is in there kind of thing. So we'll start with Card Ladder. There's a couple major flaws. Basically, they don't have any rookies after 2020. Yeah. I think the only 2021 guy they have is Cole Caulfield. So, and rookies drive markets so heavily. And so there's basically two whole classes now that are missing from that. And I think that that's a big hole that I would love to see them fixed and would make their indexes a lot stronger. On the market mover side, they have a number of hockey indexes, which is actually nice because it allows you to look at various slices of the market. But even with them, as you look at the cards that they put in their indexes. So I looked at, as an example, there's a 2018-2020 hockey index where you got players like Elvis Merzlikins, Ilya Mikheyev, Cody Glass, Ryan Poehling, more of this ilk, that these are guys that aren't. Elvis Merzlikins was the worst goalie in the NHL. Yeah. So I don't know how relevant it is to have his cards, and where they're missing. So speaking of like Merzlikins, so he's in the index for 2018-2020 rookies. You know who's not in there? Shesterkin and Sorokin. Right. So when that index is down and you've got Merzlikins representing goalies and not Shesterkin and Sorokin, it kind of makes you question a little bit, not the fact that the market itself or that this slice of the market isn't down overall, but to the degree it's saying, how accurate is that? And then my biggest sort of other big complaint about market movers is that anything ultra modern, so really anything I think after like 2016, 2017 is all but just basically young guns. So there's no OPG Platinum or SPA, no cup cards in there. That I know gets a little tricky in hockey because when you're doing an index, you want to have cards that have a lot of volume. So you can see, that are sold often, where if you have a cup or RP at a 99 that gets sold every 3 months, it's hard to use that as a measure to see the health of the market. But I think they need to have more than just young guns. So again, long story short, indexes I think are directional and informative, but are not exact representations of the state of the hockey card market. So with that said, though, let's look at the indexes and see what they say. And I chose the last 3 months as sort of our look back window. Card Ladder Hockey Index is down 11.36%. Not great. Market Movers Index, again, they don't have one just hockey. They kind of break it up into eras. 1959 and older is up 0.5%. 1960 to 79, up 3.9%. 1980 to 89, down 5.4%. 1990 to 99, down 8.5%. Hockey 2000 2009, down 7%. Hockey 2010 to 2017, down 11 or 12% essentially. And then hockey 2018 to 2020, down 10.6%. So better in vintage, worse as you get into ultra modern. Again, a good part of that kind of makes sense to me when you look at particularly 2021, and we've gone through this all before. There's some good 2021 people that I think that you can be pretty excited about. Cole Caulfield is injured for the last half of the season. Trevor Zegras was okay last year, not great. Jeremy Swayman had the whole Linus Allmark thing. Mo Seider did not have a good year. Lucas Raymond did not have a good year. Quentin Byfield did not have a good year. Mason McTavish, off the summer he had, was pretty average. And then the whole 2022 class just hasn't been great. So how do you how do you kind of weigh that against the health of the market? Does that make sense to you, Troy?
It does make sense to me. I get it.
It's hard to judge. But hey, the indexes say that they're all down. And then I thought, let's look at individual cards. And here is where there are some head scratchers, where I try to find people that, like, not Mo Seider, not to pick on Mo, who had a bad kind of year too, but players that are either legends, like a Wayne Gretzky, or where their career is solidified, or players that are playing pretty well. And there's kind of some not good ones here. So here's some examples. 1980 tops, Wayne Gretzky, PSA 9, down 72% in the past 3 months. 71 rookie OPG, Guy Lafleur, PSA 8, down 65% in the last 3 months. Gretzky rookie, Topps rookie, PSA 8, down 62% in the past 3 months. 90 score Canadian Marty Brodeur, PSA 10, down 54%. Ovechkin Young Guns, BGS 9, down 43%. Cover yours, Troy. 2020 Kaprizov Young Guns, down 38%. PSA 10 in the last 3 months. 87 Luke Robitaille, PSA 10 rookie, down 37% in the past 3 months. McDavid Young Gun BGS 9.5, down 33% in the past 3 months. 2019 Nick Suzuki Young Gun PSA 10, down 30%. 2014 Pasta Young Gun BGS 9.5, down 29%. And 2019 Jack Hughes Young Gun PSA 10, down 25%. So in looking at that sum, I can't really explain like the Gretzky cards. I don't know what's happening with that market. Jack Hughes Young Guns, we've talked about for a long time. The PSA is pop is out of control.
Yep.
So maybe that a lot of the BGS, I'm seeing the BGS rated cards are down big. I don't know if that's the market, the economy, or if all the kind of negative news surrounding them, it's tough to sell or tough to tell. So we have, and again, this is where I think it's really hard to gauge the health of the market because you see this and it's not good. You look at the indexes, it's not good. But then you go back to what the card shop owners are saying. The card shows we're still seeing records every day. Mm-hmm. When I post 2 to 3 records a day, there's 4 other ones I don't post.
Yeah.
Right. So there's and we're seeing players like, now I would be really worried about the market if Matthew Tkachuk cards were going down right now, right? Where he is really, really popping off. Where does it make sense that a Pastrnak, given that they got bounced in round 1, is down a little bit? I don't know, especially over the past 3 months. So the way I'm going to describe the market is, and I don't even know if this is the best way to put it. You tell me. I think it's a discerning market. And what I mean by that, Troy, is you have to be pretty smart right now to do well in this market. And I don't mean like you have to have like a super high IQ, is that you have to do your homework. Mm-hmm. You have to really understand the market and you have to know what you're looking for. Back in 2021, you just buy Young Guns and then 2 weeks later, they're up 30% and you make money.
Those days are gone.
I don't think that that's going to work anymore. And so, again, discerning is the way that I would put it. I wonder too if, and I was thinking about, and I admit this is kind of a little bit of a shameless plug for our sponsor, My Card Post, but I was never I'm going to be honest, a real big trading guy. Mm-hmm. But I've been doing a lot of trade deals on My Card Post lately, and I've been having a lot of fun. And through the process of looking at the market, it did kind of make me realize that, well, what's one alternative to still have fun and feel like you're making moves when all your card values are down? It's not a lot of fun to sell a card right now that you like paid $750 for your Kaprizov, and basically you're giving it away at this point. Yep. But if you could trade it for another card that maybe its value is hurting too, but had a similar cost basis to when you bought your card, it doesn't feel like a loss at that point. It feels like you're still maybe improving your PC or working on your collection. And so I just wonder, as the prices seem up and down, and it is hard to peg what you should pay for something right now, if we just, whether it's at card shows or people, just friends trading online or platforms like My Card Post, if we'll see more trades in the near future.
Yeah, it does seem, I will say this, I've gotten reached out even on eBay a couple of times about people wanting to do trades for cards rather than buy or sell whatever. And obviously I try to stay away from doing off eBay transactions when I put something on there, but it's interesting to see. I've seen those messages kind of pick up.
If you love hockey cards too, of course it's great when everything's going up, but it also stinks when you're trying to acquire more cards and you feel like everything's a fortune. Mm-hmm. So that's the flip side of the coin too. If the market is going to be down, how do you take advantage of that as a buyer? I equate that to the housing market. Remember the 2008 crash here, when we would see, like, we have a lot of townhomes here in the Twin Cities, and they were 200,000 and then they're selling for 80,000. And it's like, man, 4 years later, you're just kicking yourself. It's like, if I would have bought 3 of those, I would be sitting pretty right now. And so, but our brains kind of work against us. We're so captured in the moment where we think that everything is object permanence, right? Where if the market's down today, it's always going to be down. It's crashing. It's dying. It's never going to be good again. And I think that people that can have a little bit of a longer term approach find the areas of opportunity within that when eventually it does come back around, because it will.
Yeah.
And markets like these always do, that these are the people that you saw, well, frankly, in 2020 and 2021 that made huge money on their collections when they bought them real cheap.
Yep. Plus,
because they knew what to buy.
Yeah, and we'll think about it right now. The market's down. Guess what we're coming into? The summer dip. If you're buying, you better be salivating right now because you got two things working in your favor. And I would be, if you're actively trying to buy and get some really good value, this is the time in the next couple months to find some good deals.
I wonder if box prices are going to have to come down if this continues.
That's what I'm curious about. Like I do like to watch that stuff and see, and it doesn't. I'm trying to think. Well, we'll talk about box prices actually in our next segment because we had to look those up for our the new release kind of thing.
Yeah, and then this one is I don't mind repeating this, but one of the sets I'm super excited about, I know you love too, is OPG Platinum. I don't love the $200 box.
Yep. Like, exactly.
You're gonna get crushed.
Exactly.
On a lot of boxes with the secondary market prices the way that they are. So, and then the other two, I don't think this is a big factor. I was trying to think, well, what are all the reasons? And could like the war chesting for Bedard be, it wouldn't have that big of an impact though. And I think that people, in theory, you could say, well, hockey card collectors are saving their money, but come on, I know us all better than that. We can't help but to acquire new cards and spend our money. So I'd at least, maybe you think differently, but I don't think that's a.
I mean, I do think there's truth in some people are war testing. I don't know how big it is, and that's me personally.
If you guys have any thoughts on the market, please go ahead and message us. We'd love to hear your feedback and get your theories or get your reasons why you think you're either nervous about the state of the market or maybe excited about what could be upcoming. Okay, we're going to switch over to new product releases. Kind of we're in a little bit of like new product release purgatory today, given that nothing's out yet, but we got two big releases coming out on Wednesday. So Thursday's show will be pretty busy from a new product releases standpoint. First, we have a traditional, quote unquote, product coming out, an extended series, which we looked at when our rookie deep dive a little bit today. Then an untraditional release where Fleer Ultra Hockey, which is an e-pack exclusive, is coming out as well. Show note, we plan to have Billy Celio on Thursday's show to talk about Fleer Ultra. So excited about that. We'll ask him why it was an e-pack exclusive, along with a whole bunch of other interesting nuggets we'll get about the new set. He always does a great job. So looking forward to having him on. So big show Thursday. I thought, though, given all of that, what might be fun is to look ahead a little bit and look at all the new products that are available for pre-sale right now, where Upper Deck has released their sell sheet or preview. And for each of us to come up with our top 5 products we're most excited about, given we needed something to talk about in new product releases, that we're in this little bit of a purgatory stage. And to me, this is a fun exercise. And I think that too, if you are into ripping new product and there's stuff that comes out a lot, that this is kind of a good exercise for everyone to do. So you can kind of plan ahead as to where you want to spend your money and what releases you're most excited about. So the only kind of rule was it has to be a set where the sell sheet is out. You can't say 2023-24 Series 2, which of course is what everyone's most excited about because Upper Deck has not, there's no pre-sale pricing, you can't pre-order it, and there's no sell sheet. So that doesn't count. So would those be the rules, Troy? And then we did kind of from 5 to 1. So the 5th most we're excited about, and then we'll end for each of us on the set we're most excited about.
Yeah, I actually, when I did mine, I did just my top 5, but now I'm looking at my order, and it actually would be my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. However, I'm going to flip. I have 2 I need to flip to make it. So I'll read it as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but we'll go there.
You can go first.
All right, number 5, 2023-24 Series 1. Release date I show as November 1st, 2023. Caveat, any release date I say or we say is subject to change. I show the pre-order pricing on this for 2023-24 Series 1 for $119.95 US. I'm excited for this product just to see the new configuration. I want to specifically see how the hobby reacts to it. I want to see what the market is for like Young Guns 101s, and this will be the first time we see this new product configuration out in the wild. All right, so now
what's the next one?
That was my number 5. So my number 4 would be 2021-22 OPG Platinum. I show a tentative release date of June 21st of this year. Pre-order pricing, as you kind of mentioned, and I'm using David Adams, was $199.95 US. I love OPG Platinum. I like shiny cards. I love you get one auto per box. You get lots of cards. I think it's 144 maybe. Is it 12 and 12, I think is the configuration.
12 and 12, yeah.
You get lots of great looking parallels. Again, one of our favorite seismic golds, but there's also some other really nice parallels. However, I'm excited for it, but like you said, that $200 box price is a little concerning. I'm not sure I like that very much, but we'll see. I like that you get one auto per box. My number 3, I gotta make sure I get this in the right order. My number 3 is 2022-23 Upper Deck Stature. Show a release date December 6th of 2023. Pre-order pricing for a hobby box on David Adams is $139.95 US. I've mentioned my love for Stature on the show many times. I love it. I love the design. I love the steampunk vibes it gives off. Now, remember, this is only 8 cards per box, but you do get a guaranteed auto and or an auto patch card, so you could possibly get 2 autos. I love Stature. I absolutely love it. And I like the design. I like the vets. I like how the vets with the signatures look in the product. So I'm just a huge fan of Stature. So that will be my number 3. My number 2 then is going to be 2022-23 Upper Deck Parkhurst Champions. I show a release date July 19th of this year. Pre-order pricing for a hobby box, $119.95 US. This product came out of nowhere for me. I think it's a new product, obviously, and I think you were onto it way before I was. But then I started looking at the sell sheet, and it really got me excited. Just personally, the images of the 51 Retro and 51 Retro rookie cards are just awesome. Plus, I'm a sucker. I like the jukebox heroes. I like what they're doing there. I like that. And also, it's 1 auto or mem card per box. You're not guaranteed an auto, but I'm all in on this one just because it's Parkhurst, and I love the retro look of some of those cards on the sell sheet. So that'd be number 2. And then my number 1 is going to be 2021-22 Upper Deck Stature. So I get actually 2 Stature releases on my list because they both have sell sheets out. The release date on this one is June 14th of this year. Maybe. I don't know. Would you look at those dates if you remember what I read for the Statures? I don't know. It seems like it might have and might not have. I don't know. But the pre-order pricing for 21-22 Upper Deck Stature is at $129.95 US. Again, I mean, I could say the same notes as I did for 22-23 Stature. I love Stature. I don't apologize for it. So I have 2 of its releases in my top 5. That's what I got.
I have 2 comments on Stature, which I didn't realize this until I saw your list here. The first is that 2021 is $10 cheaper than 2022.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the 2021 rookie list all day long over the 2022. So to me, that's a bonus. And then I don't love Stature as much as you do. I don't have that connection with. The one little complaint and there's lots of sets that have little issues, but the one thing that I think is unique to them that I hope they figured out in one of these releases is the surface issues and the scratches. Yep. Man, so many of the great cards just had, it was like people skated on them. They had such deep scratches on them.
Agree.
That I hope that they figured that out.
And make sure that we had last year's release, we had the problem also with bubbly autos. Some of the so I don't know if they had the wrong kind of material on there, but hopefully they get that figured
coating or whatever it is.
Agree. Very good criticisms of those Stature products.
Okay, I'm gonna go through my list. A lot of it is real similar, so I'll kind of breeze through some of it. But we'll start with my number 5 product that I'm most excited about is 2023-24 Artifacts, which right now is scheduled for October 11th. I'll admit I'm not the hugest Artifacts guy, but this will be the set that will have really the first real Connor Bedard cards in it, where it'll be redemptions. But I can't wait to see what these Bedard redemptions go for. You're going to have MVP. And
I was just saying, you're not holding out for those MVP redemptions?
No. But I think the Artifacts redemption bonanza is going to be crazy. And I can't wait to see what happens. The number 4 set I'm excited about is 2020-22 or 2021-22 Upper Deck Credentials, which is scheduled right now for June 28th. Love the debut ticket rookie autos. Again, it's a 2021 rookie class, which is more interesting to me than the 2022 class. And it did make me think, right, so we know Upper Deck is behind, and it's due to all the pandemic stuff, and it's been frustrating at times. But given how, and this is just my opinion, I think relatively weak the 2022 class is, can you imagine if they were caught up right now and every release was 2022 rookies? It would be
rough.
So I'm actually kind of grateful that we still have a lot of 2021 sets.
Well, what if they, do they look at this and be like, you know what, there's something here. I mean, as much as people would hate it, it's kind of a hedge for them.
Yeah.
You're working with 2 years to release, and you're hoping every other year you're going to have a good rookie class. You're hoping. But yeah, that's a very good point.
And then my number 3 release that I'm most excited about is 2021-22 OPG Platinum, scheduled for June 21st. Hands down, one of my favorite sets. Love the parallels. Big Seismic Gold Guy, love Red Prism, Emerald Surge. Golden Treasures is the new Hot Magma, Troy. And thank Jesus they got rid of Aquamarine. That made me almost give up on.
I wanted them to license SpongeBob and then just put them in like an Easter egg. 1 out of 10,000 packs had a SpongeBob Aquamarine.
I'll never understand a hockey player in a fish tank, essentially, card. It makes... I mean, Hot Magma is a little weird, too, but I can get behind that more than I can Aquamarine. We've talked about it already. My big fear or drawback is the $200 US box price. If it was in the 150, 170 range, I think I'd be a lot more comfortable. And it is worth noting, too, and I think you had mentioned this on your list, but they're going to that new configuration, too, where it's 12 packs, 12 cards per pack. Where it was like a ton of packs with like 4 cards or 5 cards before. And I do think it makes... Listen, the whole costing thing is way more Upper Deck's problem than us as collectors, but I think I would rather have less packs and more cards than try to... I never really got the whole 20 packs of 4 cards. Number 2 on my list is Series 1 for 2022-23. Again, it's all about, just like you, new configuration. The longer it sits with me, the more I'm kind of digging it. There should be a decent crop of Young Guns, too, so I feel like it'll be a nice appetizer for Connor Bedard Mania in Series 2. And the number 1 with a bullet for me is Parkhurst Champions. Cannot wait for the set. It was pushed from early June to now, mid-July. It was crestfallen when that happened, Troy. I weeped for days.
You weeped openly.
I weeped openly. Really, I actually like the base set design. With I think the autos and the patches are cool, but it's the 51 retro cards, like you mentioned, that suck me in. They are amazing. You get 3 on average of those per box. That's what we're looking forward to. Well, that's our show for Monday. If you like the episode, please leave a rating review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, want to support us, and want to chat with us on the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, please consider a $5 a month donation. Join our out of 99 support level tier on Patreon. There's 9 spots left. You can do so by going to hockeycardsgongshow.com. Clicking on the top, there's a Become a Patron link. If you just want to skip that and go to the Patreon website at patreon.com and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show, you can find us that way. There's a link in the show description of the podcast app you're listening to us on right now, and it's in our profile of our Instagram and TikTok in our link tree as well. Follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures LLC. Have a great start to your week, and we'll see you at the big show on Thursday.